Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about what to buy and what not to buy, the bookish people in your life for Christmas. If you are like me, then you have not finished your Christmas shopping yet, even though we are pretty closely coming up to Christmas. And so if you have bookish people in your life, or if you are bookish yourself and you still have a couple of people to request presents from, or you want some ideas, then hopefully this video is going to be helpful. I did do a similar video last year where I went through and I talked about books that I would recommend getting for bookish people, and also some things that might be better to avoid getting for people because either they get them every single year, or it's just not in their taste, or there's other alternatives that are more thoughtful. So hopefully this video gives you some fun ideas what to get the bookish people in your life and also what to request yourself. Also, we're trying out a new microphone today. I already completely hate it. I think actually my iPhone worked even better. My other microphone broke and now I bought these ones and I really hate it. It was so that I could do videos from further away, but I just think it just sounds really bad and I think it looks really bad too. So tell me if this video, the sound is awful. So the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to start off with my actual gift guide. These are books that I would recommend that you get for these people in your life. And then the second half of the video is going to be my anti-bookish gift guide. What stuff to avoid, or maybe just think really carefully if you are planning on getting that as a gift for someone. So my first gift that I want to talk about is actually not a gift at all, but an experience. And I am the type of person who, when people say you should give people experiences and not gifts, I do roll my eyes because I love a gift. I love stuff, and I'm not going to be ashamed about that fact. I love having physical things. I am a consumerist person and I like nice stuff. I'm not that type of person who's just like, oh, just give me a memory or an experience. With one exception, okay, because you also get stuff if you're doing this as a gift. And the gift is, instead of just buying books for somebody or buying them a book voucher, what you should do instead is write a little card with a book voucher inside or with some money inside and plan a book shopping date. So have a date carved out in your calendar where you can go book shopping with this person and you can go and actually see them spend that voucher and spend that money inside the bookshop, because honestly, there is nothing more joyful for me than buying books, but it's even better when you're buying books with somebody, because every book lover knows the game of going around to every different table and saying, I've read that, I've read that, I haven't read that, I've read that, I own that, I haven't read that, I've read that, I've read that, which is my favorite game to play in the world. And I annoy everybody else by playing that game every time I'm in the shop with someone. So my idea for you, instead of just buying a books or getting a voucher for somebody, is getting that voucher, putting it in a nice card, and then having a date where you go with them to enjoy the experience of book shopping with them, because it just makes it so much more fun. You can get lunch, you can get a coffee, you can make a whole day of it, and it's just a really nice type of gift where you're giving your time to somebody, but also, and they get to go home with those books as well. And it just makes it so much more of a memorable gift, I think. The next thing on my gift guide that I am recommending that you buy is thinking about buying them a reading journal. Now, these reading journals can come in so many different forms, but obviously my personal favorite reading journal is the journal that I made myself and do sell. This is always linked in the description. You don't have to buy them my reading journal for Christmas, but I did want to show it off. If they are a reader who loves doing reading challenges or likes physically writing down reviews of the books that they've read, or even writing lists of books that they want to buy, or keeping track of their reading in any other physical way, buying a reading journal can be such an amazing gift. I absolutely love my reading journal. This is the Reading Passport for Reading Around the World. I will show you some of the pages of my book journal here. Let me show you an empty page first. Well, I've written out the country names on the top there. But this is how they normally look. There's a space for the flag up there, space to write your review, any quotations, and then which book you ended up picking as well as your review. And I have so much fun filling out this journal and doing my little 5-star reviews and like putting little stickers in there. And it makes it so much fun when you are doing this reading challenge. I've also decorated the inside of this with like start date of when I started doing the challenge, and at the front also is a book wish list where you can write down the books that you are wanting to buy for the challenge. But it is just so much fun to fill this out. It feels like you're really completing something, and there's a physical record of the stuff that you are doing for the challenge. If you like this but maybe green isn't your color, which by the way, that's crazy, I actually have just launched, I think it might be going live literally today, a pink version of this reading journal. So maybe if green isn't your favorite color, you can check out the pink one. And I also have some ideas next year for another journal that I'm going to be starting to put together for a different type of reading challenge as well. But reading journals are obviously a great gift for any kind of book lover. Usually book lovers also like having stationery, having physical books, writing down notes and that kind of thing. So this is something I would definitely highly recommend. And of course, there's always a link down in the description if you want to pick up one of these yourself or for a friend or a family member for Christmas. And they look really nice on the shelf. They have a little spine and yeah, I'm very proud of this reading journal, and it's about a year now since I made this, or over a year. So it was time for a little refresh, time for a pink version. Let me know also if you want other colors because it's very fun to do. Next up, let's talk about the things that go along with reading. Usually sitting down reading, you're sitting there, you've got your book, you've got your hot drink, you've got your blanket, you've got your pillow. You might have your reading journal next to you as well. And so there's two things also that I would think about buying for the book lover in your life. One is any type of hot drink. If they like tea or coffee or hot chocolate, there's usually really nice teas and coffees that you can buy. Either if they like the more fancy expensive stuff, then it's really nice to get something like that as a gift because other people, you don't usually buy that type of thing for yourself, or you could get them really nice hot chocolate, that kind of thing. And you could also pair that along with getting a mug for someone so they can have their hot drink in a cute mug. And I will preface this is not always okay to get mugs for people because mugs are one of the things that lots of people have lots of these mugs and have to get rid of them. And I would say really take into account the taste of the person that you're buying for. Do they like more aesthetic mugs? Would they be happy with a bookish themed mug that's got a quote on it? Or would it be cuter to have something that really fits into their aesthetic? If they like ceramic, if they like kind of glazed mugs, that kind of thing. Don't just like think, oh, well, that's their favorite book, so I'll get a quote from that book on this mug and then the job good and done, because actually that just might be more stressful for the person receiving it than it is nice, because sometimes when you have too many mugs, it's very annoying. Also with aesthetics, I think this is like something that I always think about. It's like, I think about it in terms of like dark academia. It's the difference between reading dark academia books and trying to live within the dark academia aesthetic, where you wouldn't read a book about academia. You would read classics or Shakespeare plays or these kinds of things. You wouldn't read the dark academia books. It's the same type of thing with if somebody really, really loves a book, they don't necessarily want the aesthetic of quotes from that book. They want something that gives them the feeling as if they are within that book themselves. And there's so many different examples of this, like if they like the starless sea, getting something that is like beautifully like glazed like the night sky, or something very mystical. If they like kind of cozy fantasy romance, then get them something a bit more cutesy. But just take into account aesthetics in terms of who you're buying for, and not just like, oh, you like that book, I'll get you a quote on a mug of this book. And especially don't buy them too many mugs. They've already got a lot of mugs. This is coming from someone who has too many mugs, clearly. The next thing that is on my bookish gift guide is Kindle accessories. And actually later on, I'm going to be talking about Kindles in my do not buy list for various reasons. But I first wanted to talk about the positives and talk about things that you can get for someone who already owns a Kindle. So if they are a reader, most likely they already have a Kindle or some kind of e-reader. And a really fun way that you can change up your e-reader is that you can get people clear cases and then you can have stickers on the inside. You don't even have to use the actual stickers on the Kindle. You can kind of like arrange them in a pretty way, put a clear case over the top to like hold them in place, and then you can take that case off, rearrange the stickers, do different cute aesthetic things, put the clear case back on top. Or also you can get these very cool pop sockets. So actually for my own Kindle right now, I used to have lots of stickers on my old one. And for this one right now, I just have this kind of pop socket here. That means it's really easy to hold this when I'm reading, when I'm sleeping, when I'm like falling asleep, lying in bed, when I'm on any public transport, if I'm standing up, walking around using this Kindle. And mine has this very cute sun and moon on it. This is definitely super, super handy to have. And I would love to have other options for this as well, like to be able to change it up and maybe have different cases. And the other thing as well for Kindle accessories is not only those kind of pop sockets and the stickers and the clear cases, you can get little travel cases as well. And that's actually something that I have requested for Christmas, is to get a little soft kind of pouch travel case. It was this website that I was looking at for requesting for one of these for my own Christmas present, and I just really love the aesthetic of this. I think there's loads of different options on here, but this is something I can actually just definitely recommend because I'm literally asking for it for myself. The next thing is, obviously you should get books for your bookish friend or family member. But sometimes it's really hard to know what books to get. Obviously, you can look at their kind of public want to read lists on Goodreads or ask them, but it's very hard to know if they've already bought that book for themselves, if they haven't read it yet, or if somebody else is going to get it for them for Christmas as well. So one thing you can do is, if you already know their favorite book or their favorite author, you can get them a beautiful special edition. These can really, really range from incredibly high prices, but not all of them are very, very expensive. I actually have an entire video that did really, really well on my channel. It's still my most viewed video, which is kind of crazy because I did this so long ago and I did it without a thought or a care in the world. But I basically did a video talking about cloth-bound classics and why I don't personally recommend them. But I did do a follow-up video talking about all these different types of special editions and why I recommend them, why I would rather go for these special editions rather than cloth-bound classic. And there's a ton of really, really good information in the comment section as well of that video, people talking about the pros and the cons of different special editions. So I'd really recommend that you go and watch that video and get some inspiration of where to look for these different special editions. There's so many different ways you can go. Some people really like foiled edging or like printed stamped pages. You can get things that are beautifully leather bound, cloth bound, vintage editions as well, like really old copies, first edition. And it really depends on the person that you're buying for, what kind of aesthetic that they would like. Like me personally, I don't love a lot of the more modern special editions. I don't also ever care about something being signed or not. Like I would never buy a book because it's been signed, or I would never go out of my way to get a book signed by an author. I don't know why. It's just something I've never really cared about. I'd much rather have an older copy of a book. And also, if we're talking about special edition, then my favorites would definitely be some from the Folio Society that are just so expensive, but so gorgeous. And no, I don't own any of them, but I would love to one day. But they are just kind of a crazy amount of money to spend on a book. But if you already know that the person that you're buying for, if they have a favorite book and they have it there, then, you know, there's something you might want to splash out on. Next up, I think that along with the reading journal kind of aesthetic, something that you could buy along with that is kind of stationery and like things for annotating. Like it really depends on the type of reader that they are, but some people like to annotate directly into books. Some people like to use post-it notes so that they're not like permanent annotations. You could get some really nice pens, some highlighters, some book annotating kind of post-it note, or if they don't like directly annotating in a book, then they can also use this for their brand new reading journal that you're definitely going to buy them, because I've been such a good saleswoman and really convinced you that reading journals are kind of essential. But really pretty stationery is just always going to be something nice. Even if someone's not super, super into stationery, it's always really nice to get something that is just like really beautifully put together and like feels like a joy to use. There's so many other people that can recommend better stationery like brands than I can. If you're just going to do like cursory search on Google or on YouTube, there is a lot of people who do that type of video as well. Okay, and the next thing I want to talk about is actually candles. This is definitely something that can lean into the kind of like a bit gimmicky and a bit like useless category. But for me, candles are, because they get used up, I do think it's nice to just get like a candle every year. Like I would never be annoyed about getting more candles because it means I can just use them all the time and light them even more. With candles, there's a million different ways you can go for this. You can go for the direct like bookish route. There's lots of candles that smell like people's favorite book, or even ones that smell like characters in these books. Or you can go the more aesthetic route as well and get candles that give the vibe of dark academia, or the vibe of fantasy, or the vibe of being like witchy and mystical. But I just think there's nothing better than, especially in the like colder and longer nights, is to really set up a little reading moment and atmosphere and light a candle, have your hot drink ready, have your reading journal next to you, and just make a real moment out of sitting there and taking time to read. So I think candles are always a good shout. And my next recommendation, or on this gift guide, is actually puzzles. And this I've kind of been inspired from Reagan over at Peruse Project, who's one of my favorite book content creators on YouTube. I absolutely love watching her videos, but what she does is often she will sit there and listen to an audiobook and do a puzzle. And honestly, that just seems so relaxing and fun to me, to be also using your hands while you're sitting there and listening to this audiobook just seems like a marrying of two perfect kind of things to do together that really will get you off your phone or off doing other jobs and get you to be able to focus on the audiobook that you're listening to while also doing a puzzle. I just think it's a really nice idea. And this is something I'm going to start trying to do as well to stop myself from playing video games and scrolling on my phone. I want to be listening to audiobooks and doing puzzles. With puzzles, also, there's so many different ways you can go. There are literary themed puzzles, but also there's just a million different kinds that you can have. You can have a lot of fun shopping for all these different kinds of puzzles. And you could even get a puzzle for this bookish person in your life along with an audiobook credit as well. I was recently gifted audiobook credits from one of my lovely Patreons when I was worrying about some of the huge books that I was trying to read this month. And it honestly made my week. It's like such a lovely thing to be gifted. And I think it's a relatively easy thing to do to gift someone audio credit on a website like Libro FM or BookBeat, or I'm sure that there's plenty of others. But to get them the book credits for an audiobook and then also the puzzle, I just think that's like a match made in heaven. So that is all of my positive book gift guides. Let's talk about the stuff that I would avoid. And some of you probably already know some of the things I'm going to be saying in this from some of my recommendations. You can feel the vibe of stuff I'm not going to be recommending. Basically, a lot of the stuff on this list is stuff that readers already have a ton of, or it's tat, or it'll never be used, things that'll just go to waste and is a waste of money for you. You might get recommended on websites like Amazon or different things when you're Googling what to get for a book lover in their life. Number one, in terms of any book lover is going to have too many of these, and that is tote bags. I myself have an inordinate number of tote bags, way too many for any one person to ever use. The thing about tote bags is they're supposed to be reusable. You're supposed to kind of have one and have it for many years. It just becomes a ridiculous consumerist thing to have like 20 plus or like 30 plus different tote bags. And often these are what is given out. If you go to book events, if you go to signings, if you go to many different bookshops also around the world, it's kind of a nice souvenir to buy for yourself as well. So trust me, the reader in your life probably already has too many tote bags. They don't want another tote bag. They don't want a themed tote bag with their favorite book on it. Like I highly doubt that they do. The next thing on my do not buy list is I would just put under the title of decorative tat. This is just very cheaply made things that are just not made with any care or thought. I would just try and avoid these at all costs. It might be tempting because they're very cheap to just throw these in as a present for a book lover, but honestly, they'll probably just go straight in the bin. This does include to me bookmarks as well, especially cheaply made bookmarks, or honestly, going to be just so harsh here, anything that you can find in one of those bookish subscription boxes that isn't the actual book, any of that kind of tat, just like don't give it to me, and I don't know any other reader in my life who would want that. You might be thinking of someone in your life who would love all of these different things, like a little wooden stencil with a quote on it that's just going to kind of sit on their shelf, or maybe something made of resin of like a character from a book that they read once. You might be thinking of someone in your life who will go, no, that they would absolutely love that. But I just want to give you the other view and kind of like tell you that maybe just think twice before you're getting any kind of decorative tat. Anything that's not actually usable, consumable, readable, wearable, or anything in that able kind of category. Also, to me, I've done a complete 180 on the next thing on my list of anti-bookish gift guide, and that is these little book nooks. I just think I don't have time or space for having these on my shelf. I think that they are really overly complicated to put together. I think they take hours and hours and hours to do. And I think that the end result just looks okay sometimes if you've got an expensive one, but also it's just taking up space that I need on my shelf for books, because I don't know people who have that much spare space on their shelf to be able to fill it up with this kind of thing. I think sometimes they can look really cute. They can, especially if they've got little lights in there, but also it's like, how often are you remembering to turn that on and turn that off? Like how does it work with the batteries? Do you know what I mean? But there's more things to consider, as well as just physically building it yourself, which is going to sometimes take like many, many hours, like 10 or more hours to do. Some people might like that. Some people might hate that. I personally would hate that. I don't want to be given a task, for Christmas, unless that task is a cute puzzle, but I don't want to be building something, My next thing that I want to talk about, not to buy for a book lover in your life, and you're going to be seeing these advertised like crazy and also very controversially advertised by some big book creators recently, is a Kindle or an e-reader. I am very much of the opinion that you should not buy people Kindles or e-readers either. If they're a reader, they already have one. If they wanted one, they already have one. And if they don't already have one, there's a big reason why they don't have one. They don't want one. Like, any reader has thought about getting one and then has managed to get one or have decided that they don't want it. This is with the exception of young children or teenagers who maybe don't have the money, and you could buy them their first ever Kindle or e-reader, which is then a very sweet gift. But in general, this might just be a very expensive mistake. And also every year they come out with brand new types of Kindles and e-readers. They all do exactly the same thing. I actually much prefer the older versions of the e-readers anyway, because to me, in terms of functionality, I actually want to have buttons on my e-reader. My one currently doesn't even have buttons, but I would literally hate having ones that have that bright kind of like touch screeny vibe. Anything that's too techy and can do too many things is something I don't want, because I want to be on that e-reader and just sitting there and reading. So that is my take on Kindles and e-readers. Next up, I mentioned earlier kind of setting the scene in terms of getting your reading atmosphere ready. And I said, oh, and you've got to have pillows and blankets and, you know, your tea and your reading journal, all these things. I would actually really say don't buy people pillows and blankets for Christmas. They are just a really I personally think they're just too much of an impractical gift. They're absolutely huge, especially anything that is marketed as a reading pillow. These absolutely enormous kind of pillows that you're supposed to be sitting on. I've never seen one that looks nice and looks aesthetic that I would want to buy for my house. And also they are just absolutely huge. So you either have it out all the time or you have to put it away in the loft or in your basement or whatever. I think this is just something that's really nice as an idea. But then once you have it actually sitting there in your home, it's going to be really annoying. And they're all kind of ugly. And I think the same about lots of the blankets as well. I don't know. Maybe this is just me being like a Taurus moon and a Taurus ascendant. It's my double Taurus jumping out. But I think like I'm very specific about things in my home, especially things to make my home cozy and nice and a pleasant place to be. And I do think other people are as well. But yeah, I would avoid reading pillows and blankets in general, unless you've got something really specific in mind. The next kind of category I would say to avoid is generic bookish clothing. This might also just be another me thing, but I don't like really that much clothing that has writing on it. And I think a lot of bookish clothing is it can just be a bit like novelty as well, like having a book, having a shirt saying, in my reading girl era. I don't know, it just feels very like at once kind of like very cliche, but then also like this moment will pass so fast and you just will wear this for maybe twice and then you won't wear it again. Also, they just sometimes have really loud, bold prints and it's just like, it's not as aesthetic that everybody wants to wear. I just don't like anything too cheesy. Speaking of, I have one more that's kind of okay in some senses and okay and not okay in others. So I'm putting it on the anti-guide because I want to say don't buy really generic bookish posters. I think this is just the sense of anything in someone's home that you're expecting them to display or have out. Don't do anything that is assuming their taste and what they would want to have up. And a lot of these like bookish kind of posters have very generic quotes on them. But I would say there is always exceptions to this rule. I have some in my house that I absolutely love. I have, a quote sitting right here that's not actually from a book, but it's from a Hosier song that says, "No grave could hold my body down, crawl home to her," which I absolutely love. I also have another poster up with a quote from Little Women that I absolutely love. I just think with these, go for more things that look actually like beautiful art within themselves that isn't just a quote from a book. Look at the aesthetics first and then kind of decide if that is fitting in with the person that you're buying a gift for. Obviously, that is just my advice for every single thing on this list. Sum it up, don't go for anything that assumes their taste or aesthetic. Don't go for anything gimmicky or cheap or anything too generic. And if in doubt, just buy them books. Buy them books or get them book vouchers or book tokens. That's the number one thing that book lovers really want, is just have more books. But also, obviously, the book channel, the Lid Loves Reading Passport that is linked below. This is the number one gift guide recommendation. If you are still watching all the way to the end, then thank you so much. And if you are not already, then please subscribe to my channel, because so many people that watch these videos are not actually subscribed. So if that is you, please hit that subscribe button. And also I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon. We've had a few new Patreons recently, and it makes me so happy that this small community is growing, and I love you guys so much. Thank you for making this the best place to be on the internet. I am actually doing Vlogmas over on the Patreon, so if you're interested in my vlogs, I'm doing 12 days of Vlogmas. It's been so much fun. It's been really a real range of videos, some more chaotic than others, but I'm having loads of fun over there on the Patreon. So if you like my vlogs, then go and check that out. And I've also done a few extra perks recently over on there, so you can go and check out the different membership tiers as well on the Patreon. But other than that, I think please just like this video, comment below your thoughts on my bookish gift guide and my anti-gift guide. What are some things that you would add or take away from this list? I'd love to know that as well. And I will talk to you all again soon. Bye!